time is 5:30. The August 22nd, 2024 board meeting is, the August 22nd, 2024 board meeting is now called to order. Directors Martinez and Gottfried are excused this evening. The first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the next item is agenda changes. Does the board have any recommended changes to tonight's agenda? We will now move to the business portion of the meeting. For public comment tonight, we don't have anybody signed up for the first session, so I'll hold off on that until the second session. So the next item will be 4.2, board comments. Does any board member have a comment that they'd like to share with the rest of the board?
I'd like to, and I know that you're not here, but I'd like to commend the working group on the bond. As I studied that, I'm sorry, Levy.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was, as I reviewed it, I've just been struck by the amount of work that group put into that and the thoughtfulness. And I just wanted to go on record as acknowledging that work and your thoughtful dedication to the district.
Okay, thank you. I second that too.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Any comments? Okay. I just quick general comment. As we know, school starts next week, next Tuesday. I just want to publicly acknowledge all the teachers, administrators, district staff, and all the hard work that's gone into preparing for the next school year. Very excited about the next school year coming up. I think that we will continue all the great work that was carried forward from last year, and just really looking forward to visiting schools and participating in all the different events we have coming up. So yeah, again, thank you, and looking forward to it. All right. So does any board member have a report to share in regard to their assigned liaison position? I do not for WIA.
I am really excited to hear the progress we've made in the works of getting a staff member onboarded for the position for the teacher for Swallow language class. That's just a really, I know it's taken so many hands of work to make this come together, and I'm super glad to be a small part of that, but the work with the district and tribal staff and everyone involved in this program off the ground is just really exciting to see it and see where it takes us in the future, and to have the amount of signups that I understand we have. It's just exciting. So I look forward to hearing more about Swallow language class.
Okay, great. Anything else? Okay. Superintendent Davenport, would you please provide your comments to the board?
You kind of took a little bit of it. We got school starting next week, and our team and just all the district staff and employees have been back in action this week. Our support staff and our certificated staff, just every single day this week, working hard, getting together. I know we have another early morning tomorrow with our paraeducators, our food nutrition service folks. We're in this room earlier today. Hard to believe this room was a classroom just about 2 hours ago, doing all of their required training. So we are in full swing and back in action, and I can't wait to see everybody's faces next week.
Great, thank you. The next item is consent agenda. Items 5.1.1 through 5.1.5. Motion is needed to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Ed. And we need a second for the motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, Stacy. All right, the motion has been made and seconded. All in favor of the motion? And aye. All opposed to the motion? Motion passes with a vote of 3 for and 0 against. The next item, a motion is needed to discuss resolution 080124, 2024-2025 budget adoption, F-195 budget document. Do I have a motion?
I motion.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. We need a second. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ed. So the motion is to discuss resolution 080124, 2024-2025 budget adoption, F-195 budget document. The motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any new comments for discussion?
I don't think so after the thorough presentation, that was, as always, the layout of that is so well done. I appreciate the work. Thank you, Mike and Dee.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate all of the monthly updates. So when it comes to this large document, this significant process, really, I don't feel like anything is a surprise. It's things we've been presented to and discussed before. So just hope we continue those regular discussions around budgets. And yeah.
If I can add to that, Mike, thank you for your granular description of the budget and where this is all laying out. Appreciate that.
Okay, if there is no more discussion, I put the question to vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed to the motion? The motion passes with a vote of 3 for and 0 against. A motion is needed to discuss resolution 080224, establishing cash interest accounts for 2024-2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Ed. And we need a second. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stacy. Motion is to discuss resolution 080224, establishing cash interest accounts for 2024-2025. The motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any new comments for discussion?
I don't think I did, it's laid out on there pretty well for the funds.
Okay. All right, if there is no more discussion, I'll put the question to vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed to the motion? The motion passes with a vote of 3 for and 0 against. The motion is needed to discuss resolution 080324, impact aid authorization representation for 2024-2025. Do I have a motion?
I second.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. We need a second. Do we have a second?
I will second it.
Thank you, Ed. Motion is to discuss resolution 080324, impact aid authorization representation for 2004-2025. Motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any new comments for discussion? Okay, I do not either. If there's no more discussion, I put the question to vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed to the motion? Motion passes with a vote of 3 for and 0 against. A motion is needed to discuss the legal services contract with Porter Foster Warwick. Do I have a motion?
I so moved.
Okay, we need a second. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion is to discuss the legal services contract with Porter Foster Warwick. Motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any new comments for discussion? I would just say, to me, as the president, is a very important motion. It's something that we rely on, and I think it's important that we do that we continue to do that. I think, over the past year, you've seen some districts get into some compliance issues. It's just really helpful to have a resource that we can go and discuss different things in. So, I'm looking forward to this passing.
Comment?
Yes.
I see the budget item is 150,000. Is that the contract base? Is it cost plus? What level of service do we get for that? And then at what point would they start billing additional?
So it goes, if we go above 150,000 with them, then they would bill us additionally. So pretty much they are if an issue comes up, human resources or staffing anything, we immediately, call the risk pool. If risk pool doesn't cover it, we call Florida Cost of Work. They'll assign us one of their attorneys, and we work with them fairly closely.
Yeah, so this basically retained.
It is, and we also have the bargaining retainer with them, so if there is any type of MOUs or anything that comes up, because we have the 7 units, then we can access, their attorneys for that.
I guess my only question would be, sorry,
Yeah,
the
no.
copy here attached is the 23 one, so are there any changes or edits, or are we voting on,
So I have a 23.
It goes to 2025,
Yeah.
at the end, at the very bottom, it says terms, it goes through February 28th, 2025.
okay, cool. Just wanna make sure that,
Sorry.
if some of the dates are.
Any other comments? All right, if there is no more discussion, I put the question to vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed to the motion? The motion passes with a vote of 3 for and 0 against. The motion is needed to discuss the Washington Schools Risk Management, pool purchase order. Do I have a motion?
That's
Okay, thank you, Ed. We need a second. Do we have a second?
It's okay.
Thank you, Stacy. Motion is to discuss the Washington School Risk Management Pool Purchase Order. Motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any comments for discussion?
And this is the risk pool, grant that we reach out to first, that comes out of the support that we
It
get.
is.
And that's, so, I'm not,
It's our insurance.
So just a little FYI, so the rate of this is based on our loss record and district size, is that?
It is, and it's they also take into account other districts, and when they look at, when they come up with their prices, we just had our annual meeting with them, Mike and I did, and when they come up with, what our cost is gonna be, they look across the entire state, and they say, you know, for instance, transportation, and the risk right now, transportation is higher across the state, and so that would be increased right now. And another one that we're really trying to pay attention to is technology, and making sure that security around the technology-based system.
If there's no more discussion, I put the question to vote. All in favor of the motion? Aye. All opposed to the motion? The motion passes with a vote of 3 for and 0 against. The motion is needed to discuss 2024-2025 utilities purchase order. Do I have a motion?
So,
Okay, thank you, Stacy. We need a second. Do we have a second? Thank you, Ed. The motion is to discuss the 2024-2025 utilities purchase order. The motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any new comments for discussion?
Question, I guess, slash comment. These rates, are these historical rates then?
They're high, everything, our insurance is up, and then the rates across the board are up.
Okay, so, if, for instance, Cascade Natural Gas comes in the middle of the year and, you know, 40% increase, how is that, is that?
If it goes above this, we come back and reauthorize.
And then if at the end of the year, if there's extra, where does this money go?
It's, I'll have to look at Micah General Fund, it goes back, it comes out of our general fund, it's not earmarked.
Okay,
This
okay.
specifically.
That was kind of my question, is this basically your heart?
Just stays in the fund balance.
Okay. So it just rolls over then?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, if there's no more discussion, I put the question to vote. All in favor of the motion?
aye.
Aye. All opposed to the motion? Motion passes with a vote of 3 for and 0 against. The motion is needed to discuss the U.S. Foods and Dairy Fresh purchase order. Do I have a motion?
so,
Okay, thank you, Ed. We need a second. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Stacy. Motions to discuss the U.S. Foods and Dairy Fresh Purchase Order. The motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any new comments for discussion? Okay. If there's no more discussion, I put the question to vote. All in favor of the motion?
aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed to the motion? The motion passes with a vote of 3, 4, and 0 against. A motion is needed to discuss the NKCASA collective bargaining agreement. Do I have a motion?
Also moved.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. We need a second. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ed. Motions to discuss the NKCASA collective bargaining agreement. The motion has been made and seconded. Do we have any new comments for discussion? Okay. I do not either.
Actually,
Go ahead.
so on this agreement, or, is this a rollover from, prior negotiations?
It is a rollover, and so, what we agreed to in prior negotiation was that we would come back and look at where our other bargaining groups ended up. So these are classified supervisors, so they oversee SEIU, facilities maintenance, food nutrition service, and, some of our student records. And so it was to come back and look and see if the extension of, the salaries portion, most of our groups got their IPD, plus, in future years, either IPD or 2%, whichever was gonna be greater. And so it evened that out. That's all the change, the major change it did.
Okay, so I see the date here, it's until 2027. Okay, so this is just a
I think
continuation.
it's continuation.
If there's no more discussion, I put the question to vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed to the motion? The motion passes with a vote of 3, 4, and 0 against. Okay, thank you. So that leads us to, management reports. Management reports will be turned over to Interim Superintendent Rachel Davenport and staff to answer any questions the board has regarding the materials provided.
6.1 is our, budget status report, for July. I know we have budget hearing, with that prior to our last board meeting we went through. It's our typical monthly report. Are there any questions? Mike and his team do a really good job of breaking it down. I really like how they have the slides laid out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Nice and consistent.
Great.
Just a quick comment, I'm looking at the enrollment numbers. What are our estimations for this year over last?
It's fairly stagnant. And so we're monitoring, right now we're monitoring closely. We're looking at a couple of, bubble spots where we have like an increase in maybe third graders in one area. Kindergartners fairly stagnant to where it was last year. We're not really seeing much up or down.
Okay. So, has there been any adjustment in the numbers, like for instance, maybe we have a few of less of this group, but we have more maybe military or?
Yeah, we aren't seeing the military influx right now. I know that that was a big hope with, the Reagan coming in, 25 folks, but I know that they had them come, as many unaccompanied as possible at this point, just because of lack of housing. And because we don't have multifamily housing units here, on the north end, a lot of those families, when they are looking to push into housing that's affordable for them, it's Bremerton and Port Orchard. And so right now, if I was to guess who's gonna see an influx, it's gonna be those folks. Bakersville, I know that, I know Jackson Park, the Landings, they moved a lot of families that were living there out to make room for, our military folks, and, we just don't have a multi-unit family housing countywide, really.
Yeah.
I wish that was not the case.
Okay.
All right, and then our next report is, the minimum basic ed, requirements, and that is, looking at our OSPI, making sure that we have our minutes and our requirements for, our attendance, 180 year. We don't, at this point, have a waiver, with the school board, and it just makes sure days and minutes are allocated and accounted for.
All right. The next item is public comments. North Kitsap School Board of Directors welcomes the public to this open public meeting. In accordance with board policy and state law, board meetings must be conducted in a civil, orderly, and businesslike manner, which means we must all follow the same standard of civility during school board meetings. We value public comments. If you'd like to speak to potential items on the agenda, you may sign up to speak using the sign-up sheets that are included on the meeting agenda and on the school district's website. Both virtual and in-person attendees may sign up for a public comment. As a reminder, per policy 1430, the board requires that those who speak be either residents or employees of the district or the legal counsel representing such residents or employees. The board sets aside a maximum of 2 30-minute public comment periods per meeting. The speakers wishing to comment on agenda items will be prioritized in the first public comment period to allow for the board to hear comments prior to the board action or consideration. Individual speakers will have 3 minutes for their comments. Speakers may not donate some or all of their time to another speaker, and the person who signed up to comment should be the same person who addresses the board. No speaker may speak more than once per meeting, even if there is time remaining. Though the board will not respond to statements, questions, or challenges made during the public comment period, the board may ask district staff to contact the speaker at a later time to follow up on issues raised during the public comment period. When it is your turn to speak, please approach the podium if you are in person. If you are commenting via Zoom, you will be promoted to panelist on Zoom. You must then turn on your video and microphone to make public comment. Finally, please remember that your words have impact. We value our community's feedback, and we welcome your comments. Thank you. The only public speaker this evening will be Scott Hendon.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak. In the last board meeting, you approved additional services for the city architects in the amount of $170,000 and something. And I appreciate, Director Wright, that you started to ask a couple questions about the costs associated with that. So I've done some public requests, and what I find is there is no document, at least that I've seen, I've been wrong before, that allows for the added fees that they've done. What I see is throughout the document that Nexus expected their contract to end in 10/30/24. Meg Associates at 10/30/24. Associated Earth Soils at 10/30/24. But the architect has it in June. And so it's a basic question. The architect designs the thing, they pick the thing, they permit the thing, they bid the thing, and then their dates are different than everybody else's, so that there's lapses prior to the other contracts. You know, we believe in America that there's a separation of powers. And I would like to apply that principle to here. It seems like the architect all the way along controls the process, ends the process, and then ask for more money. I need to trust that you as a board and the staff is giving good recommendations. Now, in my small company, we've probably done 20 prevailing wage jobs in the last 5 years. Cities, schools, park districts, PUDs, I'm used to this paperwork on a much smaller scale, but it's the same documents. The other thing is, there's supposed to be an important document called Notice to Proceed. I don't order materials until I have a Notice to Proceed. It means I've got my insurance in order, I've got my submittals in, I've done all the things, I've presented a cost breakout for them. In this document, there is no Notice to Proceed, there's a partial Notice to Proceed. The contract calls for the Notice to Proceed to spell out when this is to be done, but there's no Notice to Proceed. To me, this is pretty fundamental. I would not start the job without that and saying, yes, Scott, you may go ahead. I do not order materials until I get this notice. But the problem is, I would be willing to bet that none of the board understood what they approved in the last meeting. That you trusted staff, and what their reasons were, I don't know. I'm glad to be corrected. If I'm wrong with something, please do. But that none of you understood that, and it was $170,000.
Thank you, your time's expired.
Thank you.
All right, and then the board will not need an executive session this evening. Excuse me, there will be no executive session this meeting. The time is, okay, 5:55. This meeting is adjourned.